In today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to crochet this very pretty but very simple clutch. We're going to use one simple stitch and the written pattern is in the description box for you, so if you're interested, keep watching. And if you're new here, hello, I'm Laisha from With Love Laisha. I'm a self-taught crochet artist and designer, and I make tutorials for beginners that ease some of the frustrations of learning crochet online. So if that's your thing, hit that subscribe button below, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Now let's jump in. A few things you need to crochet this clutch. You need some yarn. I'm using Big Twist Premium in the color Salmon. This is a level 4 weighted yarn. That is the thickness of the yarn. You want something nice and sturdy for this clutch, so any level 4 weighted yarn will be just fine. You need a crochet hook. I'm using a size I 5.5 mm hook because that is what is recommended on the back of my yarn package. You can use whatever size is recommended on your yarn packaging. You need some scissors to cut your yarn, a couple stitch markers. We're going to use these to align our sides and hold our clutch together as we sew it up, as well as to mark off the height of our clutch. So you can use hairpins, safety pins, scrap yarn, any of those will be just fine. And you need a yarn needle or darning needle. A tapestry needle also works great. And that is it. I will link how much yarn you need and where you can find this exact one in the description box, as well as a set that has hooks, stitch markers, needles, and some scissors and a few extra items in it, so check that out. The first thing we need to do to get our clutch started is to get a slip knot on our hook. So I'm going to lay my yarn on my hook, tail facing away from me, bring it over the longer piece of yarn over and pull through. You can do a slip knot any way you like. Now we're going to chain the width of our clutch. You can do any number of chains that you like. I'm going to do 30 chains for my clutch. And it's helpful if you make your loops just big enough to get your hook through them. That will ensure that your foundation chain isn't too tight or too loose as we start adding in more rows. So go ahead and make your chain and I will meet you back here. So I finished my foundation chain. This is what it's looking like. And I've placed 30 chains. That's going to leave me with 29 stitches. So keep in mind that when we start working in our stitches, you're going to end up with one less stitch than the number of chains you had. Okay, let's start with our first row of extended single crochet. So we're going to start working in the second chain from the hook. So this is the first where this yarn is coming out of. I'm going into the next one. So we're just going to insert and get that top loop on your hook. Pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through that first loop. Yarn over and pull through the next two loops. And we're just going to continue placing one extended single crochet in every stitch or in every chain all the way down. I've just about finished my first row. And this is what your last chain is going to look like. It's right next to your knot, so tighten up that knot. If you can't see your last chain clearly, I'm just going to insert, get that top loop on our hook. Pull through the first loop and then through the next two loops. And that is our first row of extended single crochet complete. Now we're going to chain one, turn to the other side. So now we're working down the back of our work. Now tilt your work towards you so you can see the tops of these stitches, and you want to be able to see these V's nice and clear. I'm going to insert into that very first stitch, so it's right here at the top of this first post, and it's next to this chain that we've worked. So when I tilt, it's this V right here. I'm going to insert into that, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over and pull through the next two. Go to the next one. So I'm getting that V over my hook, both strands, and then I'm just continuing to work my extended single crochet. So go ahead and complete your row. You're going to just place one extended single crochet in every stitch all the way across. I'm just about finished with row 2 here, and I just wanted to show you what the last couple stitches look like. So this is my second to last stitch. And for the last stitch, you're going to tilt your work a little bit. It's right there on the end. Insert and make sure you get both strands of that very last V on your hook. Place your extended single crochet, chain 1, and turn. I've added in a few more rows so you can see what the stitch looks like. After row 2, you're going to just continue repeating that row. You're going to place one extended single crochet in every stitch all the way across, chain 1, and turn your work. And that's it. So continue crocheting rows in that way until you have double the height that you want your clutch to be, because we're going to fold it over to get the front and the back of the clutch. So go ahead and do that. Meet me back here and I'll show you what to do next. So I have double my height here and folded over. It is 4.5 inches tall. So this is the front and the back of my clutch. And now we're going to add in the flap. So once it is folded over and it's finished, it's going to look something like this. And I've gone ahead and placed a stitch marker on the last row that I crocheted once I'm happy with my height, to let me know that anything I crochet beyond this point is the flap. And this is how much I wanted my height to be. You can use a safety pin, hairpin, scrap yarn, anything you like, just something to let you know that this is the last row of your height. So go ahead and add in a few more rows. We're doing the same thing we have been, and stop once you're happy with how low your flap comes over your work, and then meet me back here and I'll show you how to put it together. I have my flap crocheted here, and this is where my height was marked off, so I do have it folded up till there, and the rest of it is my flap. Once you place your last extended single crochet, you're going to yarn over, pull through, and make a really big loop. And you want the loop to come out quite a bit from your project, because this is going to be our tail that we're going to work into the project. Now grab your scissors, and you want to cut right in the center of that loop, and then you're going to pull from your working yarn just to free that tail that you don't need, or free the yarn that you don't need. And then you can tighten up that knot just by pushing down on it. Now we're ready to seam up the bottom half of our clutch. So you want to turn it inside out if you have a preference on what you want your inside and your outside to be. You want the inside out. And now we're going to make sure that everything sits nice and straight. So make sure you have it folded over and you're happy with the height of your bottom half. You're happy with where the clutch is. And then turn it to the side, and you want to line up the two side edges so that they sit nice and straight against each other. You're going to place a stitch marker through both pieces of fabric. So I have it placed through my corner stitch on this piece, and it's coming right through the last stitch of this row on the back piece. And then make sure that your top edge is sitting nice and straight, and just follow that straight line to the other side. So I'm using this row here as a reference so that I'm sure that everything is sitting nice and straight. Now turn it to the other edge and place your stitch marker on this side as well. You're going to line everything up and place it through the last stitch on this side as well, and through the edge stitch on the back piece of fabric. So this is actually the trickiest part and the most important, because you do want to make sure that everything is sitting nice and straight. Cut a piece of yarn that is 3 to 4 times the height of your clutch, so that you're sure that it will come down across your edge. Thread your yarn through your darning needle or tapestry needle. And now I'm just going to push that needle through that corner stitch, and I'm going to tie a knot. And I like to make sure that I do have a tail that I can work into my project later. So I have about that much of a tail. Now you're going to just work your needle across both pieces of fabric. So I've already brought it through this edge when I was tying the yarn on. Now I'm going to push it through the other edge straight across. This is why we'd use the stitch markers to mark where we had everything aligned nice and straight. And you're just going to come back across, and you're going to go back and forth that same way. Make sure you don't have any gaps in it. If you do, you can work your way back over. Now that we have our clutch sewn up, we're ready to weave in our tails. So I'm going to thread my tail through my needle the same way I did the yarn that I was sewing with. And I'm just going to work this tail in between the stitches. So I'm just coming through one piece of fabric, I'm not going through both. And I'm just weaving my needle in between the stitches. I'm not splitting the yarn. So I'm going to come over the last stitch that I just came under. Once you've hidden in your yarn tails and ends, you can go ahead and flip your clutch right side out. And you will end up with something that looks similar to this. And you can add some lining inside, a zipper or buttons, whatever you like. Really make it your own and have fun with it. I hope you enjoyed crocheting today's clutch. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to grab your free copy of the written pattern in the description box. While you're there, hit that subscribe button. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep crocheting with love and patience.